There's 15 tools for the toolbox, which I see right behind you there. So I want to jump in to the toolbox. So we're gonna go one through 15. I'm gonna explain the toolbox behind you before we jump into these tools that you give dads to help with their daughters.
I love when men say, "Tell me what to do to fix it." If you want to be a hero, you got your fathering toolbox. See, I got it right behind me. Red box. If you're listening to this and can't see it, it's a red toolbox, and I have the words fathering toolbox on it. And we're going to talk about a bunch of them today.
Well, let's start at the ground level then. Let's talk about, you've already mentioned it a little bit, but your first tool is to be an active listener.
Start without talking. Remember, 2 ears, 1 mouth. So think, listen first, talk next, talk second. So the foundation is learning to grow your own skill set as an active listener, which means you're going to set the remote down. You're going to look in her eyes. And I know that there's research on how men do better with shoulder to shoulder orientation, which is why a lot of times car rides are a great bonding time for a lot of dads with their kids, because you don't have to look at each other across a table. But really, we as women, we don't know you're listening unless we can see your eyes. So it's that thing like, you're not listening. And you're like, yes, I am. But you're not looking at me. So it means you look at her. Because again, you're right now learning to speak Venusian. That's kind of what we're talking about here. So if you want to connect with your daughter's heart, turn toward her, nod your head up and down, put your remote down, turn your phone off. Give her the message, you're more important. So I would say that is a foundational place to start, is being intentional and think about reps. So you may say, that is just not my strong suit. Well, learn to have it be one by being intentional of lifting more weights, doing more reps in smaller amounts as you grow that skill set, and you'll get there.
The second point, you talk about learning how to wonder. Learn how to wonder about your daughter. What do you mean when you're talking about learning how to wonder?
If you learn to put the 2 words, "I'm wondering," in front of your sentence, in front of your question, you will notice that her heart will open. Sometimes, men, you don't hear your tone. Experts say communication is 7% words, 38% tone of voice, and 55% body language. Your stance and your presence sometimes when you're barking an order that to you doesn't sound like anything more than a legitimate question, and you're frustrated. Like, why aren't you going to school? She's like, I ain't telling you. This is how I have the power. I'm not talking to you. So when you say, "I'm wondering," it comes across as a curiosity, invitational kind of question that opens her heart up to go, "Oh, you really want to know? Okay, then I'll really tell you."
So if number 2 is learn how to wondering. Number 3 is ask questions. How is question asking different than the first 2?
Okay, so this is another foundational skill.
Absolutely.
There is actually an art to asking good questions. Do you remember back in school where you learned who, what, when, where, why, and how? So when it comes to asking good questions, Dad, there's one of those that I would encourage you to pull out and use very sparingly, and it's the why. Because oftentimes it leads to a looping answer. Why didn't you do that? I don't know. Why did you just hit your sister? I don't know. You don't get anywhere with why very often. So who, what, when, where, how, okay, is on the left side. Picture a piece of paper, you draw a line in the middle. You got that on the left side. On the right side, the way you ask good questions is to listen for her key word in the sentence. Or her last word of the sentence. So if your daughter is a talker and you're like, "Hey, how was it at school?" And she's like, "Oh yeah, it was great today because my friends, we all met for lunch, and then we didn't know what we were going to eat. And so we went over to the Common, and then we all got Chick-fil-A, and then we went," and she might get to the very end and go, "And so we all sat there and it was so awkward." And you're like, "I got that word. What was awkward?"
Yes.
How was it awkward? Where were you? Did you say again where it was awkward? "Dad, I said it was at lunch," but it got the conversation going.
Yep.
So sometimes you men work way harder than you need to, because you're like, you pick her up from school and you go, "Hi, honey, how was your day?" And she says,
"Fine."
And you think if you wanted to tell me more, you would have told me more. But she's saying, if you wanted to know more, you would have asked more. And you're like, "You're making me nuts." So again, dads, I'm helping you decode women. We say, "Ask me more questions," and I'll know that you care more.
As you unpack the first three tools, I'm like, oh, this makes sense that this is number 4 now, because when I'm wondering, when I'm active listening, when I am asking questions, I am inviting her to share her voice. And this is the tool number 4. Help her find her voice. So define her voice for us.
Your daughter often will feel like she's just one in a million, like watered down. And again, with all the social media and all TikTok and all the voices, hers is so often, in her own view, the least important, the least valuable. She's just one in a sea of millions of voices, and she wants to stand out. So when we talk about helping your daughter find her voice, it's helping her know, what is she passionate about? How does she want to change the world? With what tugs at her heart? How can you join her in supporting that? And so there could be frustration on the part of dads of, I am sick of her being so self-absorbed. In fact, I do remember a dad once in the ABBA project saying those words to me about his 8th grade daughter. And I said, here's the thing. And I said, I act this out with my clients a lot. Like I'll push my hair back and I'll say, hey, don't notice my earrings right now, and I just start moving my head and they're dangling. And I'm like, but don't look at them. Just notice what I'm saying. And they're laughing. And I'm like, hey, look at my ring. Look at my wedding ring here, and I tell the story that Ken gave me this ring in DC at the Museum of the Bible. And I got married at 60 for the first time. Guess what? They are not looking at my earrings anymore. So the only way to not look somewhere is you have to look somewhere else. Mm-hmm. So dad, you can say all day long, don't focus on yourself. Don't be self-absorbed. Don't spend so much time on social media. But for your daughter to find her unique voice, it means you're listening, asking questions. What are you passionate about? Watch what brings tears to her eyes when she maybe hears about sex trafficked girls, or about dogs when there's a commercial on TV and they need a home, or foster kids that don't have anywhere, and volunteer with her. Because that was, this dad said, how do I get my daughter to not be so self-absorbed? And I said, volunteering. And he goes, oh, I love that. I go, she'll get her eyes off herself. She won't be here. You have to look somewhere else. And guess what? I then added, you're going to need to do it with her. Yeah. That'll take it to a whole nother level. You're not going to believe what he said. Not going to happen.
Oh.
He said, no way. I'm too busy. He goes, that is not my thing. It's really uncomfortable for me. And I just thought, oh my goodness, is that maybe why she's where, in part, not the whole thing.
Yeah.
But dad, join your daughter in participating in what she's passionate about.
So the next tool is build her up. Can you explain?
So when you think about men, by and large, love to build, you get that construct. You're going to put one board down, one nail in, second nail in, but it's incremental and it's strategic. So this idea of building her up sometimes means, back to the last one, is that her no, you're like, you are not building anything up. That's a tear down. It's a pulling off. No, I don't want that board on there. But it's actually, if you look at it through a different lens, it's her way of asserting herself. We call that separation and individuation in my field of psychology. She's becoming an individual. So rather than going, don't say no, that's not going to build her up. If you're just saying, down girl, I don't want to hear from you. I don't want to know what you think. Remember, back to asking questions. Tell me what you mean by no. What does your no mean? How can I better understand your no? So dad, your investment in your daughter, in building her up, which isn't just saying, oh, you look pretty today, honey. It's that even when she pushes against you and says no, and you're like, I got to think, build. How do I build that no, that strength, that core strength that's practicing with me to build? She's building muscles to get stronger.
To segue to tool number 6, quantity time. We need to be in proximity of our daughters often. You want to talk about quantity time?
Yeah. And maybe some of you are surprised that I put quantity time, not quality time. because that is more what I think is emphasized. Hey, it doesn't matter if you have much quantity, just go for the quality. While you're there, back to the sports analogy, you're not going to play well on game day if you haven't put in quantity time to prepare, right? So when you think about quantity time, it means that this would be a good opportunity to ask your daughter, are we spending as much time as you would like? Or back to that close. And that's a great question to ask your daughter, are we as close as you would like us to be? Another one is, are we spending as much time as you'd like us to spend together? Now, she may say, absolutely, it's fine, because she's 14 and her peers are more important than you. And that's the way it always goes, always. Your daughter's going to pull away and her peers are going to be more important. And so locking some of that time in early, dads that are listening with younger daughters, now's the time to lock in the quantity time. I would establish a once a month rhythm of a dad-daughter date from the time she's 2, 1. Start it early, lock and load the quantity time, the rhythms there, that when she pulls away, I mean, I love the stories that I hear dads say where the daughter comes up, Dad, are we going to have our date? And the daughter's bringing it up because dad has established the rhythm
expectation
of quantity time.
This next tool is use your mouth guard. And you said this, and I thought this was really powerful. I want to repeat this. You said the person who remembers the longest is the one who heard the words, not the one who spoke them.
Yes. So when you're on the receiving end, the hurt stays there longer, which is why oftentimes, and again, I'll just use daughter here as an example. So dad moves on after he's quote unquote delivered the blow or the correction or the discipline. And so to him, he stepped in to that role. He disciplined. He didn't exasperate, right? His children to anger, biblical mandate, like, okay, I don't think I blew it. And so he's done, right? He's like, but she's still remembering the look in his eyes. And so if your daughter is still hurting and you've moved on and you say, you should be done. This was fine. It was your fault or I'm justified. But she's still in the wounded place. She's the one that says, I need to have attention for my wound. And that mindset might help you, dad, to say, oh man, I have at times where I've said all the shoulds. And I go, don't should on your daughter.
Yeah.
You should be over it by now. You shouldn't be so sensitive. You should have thought first. Dad, pull should out. That's just a little freebie over there on the side for that one. Right? Just going, pull the shoulds out and just speak directly and then let your mouth, because it's that use a mouth guard, right? Which is a biblical principle all through James.
Absolutely. So tool number 8. So you're going to have to explain this one because I completely agree with it, but it's hard as a man to explain what this means to other men. I can't articulate vulnerability very well. So you say your tool is to be vulnerable.
Absolutely. So, you know, it's the lead with vulnerability chapter. So I'm saying, Dad, what would it look like if you led with more of a heart, soft, honest? That's what this is talking about. Disclosing information at a heart level. Let me give you an example. So let's just say, I mean, we brought up sex a lot today. Hello, why would we not? So let's just say you find out that your 14-year-old daughter willingly had sex last night, and somehow one of your other kids saw something on social media and it led back, and you found it out through your wife or your ex-wife, and you are devastated. No, they're devastated. Like, not yet, not him, not now. He's not worthy of you. What you can't unring that bell.
No.
And so often sad will come out of mad.
Yes.
Portal for men. That it's harder to get in touch with where you're sad. And so it comes out as, who is that guy? Like, you know the rule, and it's coming out that way instead of you being in touch with that vulnerable place inside of you where you do feel sadness. You do feel fear. I can think of one gal right now in high school. She said, I can handle my dad's anger, but she said, I cannot handle his disappointment. It does me in. And so, Dad, that's kind of the side of your emotional self
Yes.
that your daughter will help develop. The valve is already there on your heart, but she's going to help bring that into, I would say, more blood flow there by activating this part of your heart. What would it look like if you went and you just sat with her and you, again, look in her eyes, you're using all the other skills, and you say, I know. I heard. Remember tone of voice? I know. Dad, I know what you're going to say. Go ahead. Like, I know, go ahead. You've said it a million times. And you just say, and there's tears welling up. And you don't push them back this time and say, real men don't cry, and you bite your lip. And you're letting that vulnerable heart place be shown to her. And you just let her see the tears, and you just say, I love you. I just want you to know that. You sit on her bed, and then her tears, I guarantee, are going to start. It wasn't what I thought, Dad. I'm so sorry I let you. And it's going to be a whole different conversation when you lead with vulnerability. You're maybe afraid for her safety, afraid that she has an STD, afraid that if she's done this once, she's going to do it again. But you don't go to fear, you go to anger, or sad that she made a careless decision, or, those kinds of things. So letting yourself, yes, get in touch with sad and afraid and confused will offset it just coming out as anger. Give yourself a timeout on the front end of discipline or responding that's as many minutes as your age. So we give kids a 3-minute timeout if they're 3, 10-minute timeout if they're 10. If you're 50, you need a 50-minute timeout for your brain to calm down.
Yeah, and I found
midbrain where you have emotion, what happens is it floods this prefrontal cortex, and this is where you think and reason and have good judgment. When that goes offline and you're all emotion, it's going to take longer to regulate your systems in your mind, your brain, because feelings follow thoughts. You'll never regret waiting to have that conversation.
Well, and I find that when I start wondering and asking questions, that gives the time. But when I just start demanding and making and fixing situations, it does not help. So tool number 9, putting it in writing.
When you as a dad put your love into writing, she has it. I mean, for years to come, I still have all the cards my dad makes me every year for my birthday. He gets a program from Hallmark or something online, just plugs our names in, puts some pictures. So Dad, if you're tech savvy, get one of those programs. You can make unique cards, and the template's already there. I love those. And then he and my mom write on the back. So I have their handwriting, and they're in their mid-80s, late 80s.
Yeah,
now.
they're not going to be around
Those
forever.
Are treasures to me, because I'm not going to always have the technology and the texts, but I'm going to have these letters. In fact, it's on my website, drmichellewatson.com, under free resources, about what you can put in your letter. Tell her what it was like when you first held her in your arms. Tell her the meaning of her name and how she lives up to that. Tell her wishes and dreams you have for her. Tell her what characteristics of her that you're impressed with and just wowed by, like writing that down, those kinds of things. So sometimes you as dads might think, she's going to think this is lame. She's going to hide it. She'll throw it in the garbage. I doubt it.
So this is number 10 tool, which is meet her body, tone for tone, language for language, match her intensity. So you're talking, imitate what she's doing. Imitate her nonverbal. So talk to us about this and why it's so important.
Well, even recently, I went to University of Arkansas women's gymnastics event. Oh my goodness. The last girl on the floor had her teammates on the side doing all the motions with her. You could tell the energy in the room was going up because they leaned in and they were all doing it with her. That's how well they knew her routine.
Wow.
But she fed off of their energy. So when you think about meeting your daughter and matching her, I'm not talking about if she's sassy and you're like, so, well, you could meet her and match her that way. But it's, again, finding ways. If she's crying and you hurt her feelings and you go, come on, get up, grow up. And that's not meeting her and matching her. You come down to that level. Help me understand how I hurt you. What did I say that hurt you? Meeting her and matching her lets her know you're in her corner with her, that you care about her, that you want to be on the same wavelength. And Dad, that's a great question to say is, I know I don't understand you right now. help me understand. Help me understand what I don't know. Is that a vulnerable way to say it? Absolutely. Lead with vulnerability. I'm not doing a very good job of understanding you right now. So you lead with your less than competent stance. I am not doing very good right now. I can tell I'm not hearing you. What do I need to better understand about you? What am I missing? So see how that meets her and matches her, uses vulnerability. It's bringing all the tools together.
So very similar to tool number 10, meeting her and matching her, is learn to read her eyes. Can you talk about this?
So again, it starts with the word learn. So we're all on a journey. When we have someone else or something, when we go to school, we don't start knowing about that subject. So being willing to be a learner by looking into her eyes, because what's that old adage? Eyes are the gateway to where?
Soul. Yeah.
Soul. So if you want to really know what's going on in your daughter's life, you want to be able to look in her eyes, because she could send a text that goes, "I'm fine, Dad," but that's not what she means, right? That's that I'm really not fine, but you would have no way of knowing that just by the written word.
Yeah.
But then you look at her and go, "You don't seem fine," right? If you're picking her up from school and her head is down, "You don't seem fine." So it's just finding a way to learn how to read her eyes. And like I'd said way back at the beginning, read her eyes, especially when you've responded in an intense way, because her eyes will tell you everything.
Tool 12 is be her positive mirror. I want to read out of your book. You said every single day of her life, she wonders, am I beautiful? She wants and needs to know the answer to that question, and she will keep asking and looking until someone tells her that she is. She needs you, Dad, to answer her question. If she doesn't hear it from you, she will find another mirror on another wall who will tell her that she is the most beautiful woman of them all. Now, if that is not horrifying to dads, I don't know what is.
Which that is actually springboarding off of where I started in that chapter by asking dads, remember the nursery rhyme, mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all. Where did that come from?
Snow
Do you
White.
remember?
Snow White.
Snow White. Who asked the question?
The sorceress, wasn't it? The evil. I knew it was an evil
queen. Do you guys realize the point here that I want to underscore, which is that the woman with power, she's the queen, is asking an inanimate object, am I beautiful? She's asking a mirror on the wall. So your daughters are asking inanimate objects to report back to them. It is the size on their jeans, the number on the scale. It's the phone in their hand. Yes, it's tied to people, but a lot of times it's not anyone they know. But that inanimate object carries a lot of power. So animate relationship, personal relationship with you is an antidote. Okay, so here's my mirror. If I held this up to you, there you go. I'm saying, Jim, does that look like you? In the screen, you'd say yes, clear mirror. If guys are listening and can't see, I have a big mirror and it has, a complete clear lens. Same you, same day, same outfit, same headphones, and now I hold up this mirror. I have the exact same mirror in size and in look, but the inside is broken out. I just glued it back together, so it's a broken mirror. So the point that I'm making is the mirror you look in has everything to do with how you see yourself. So Dad, sometimes your own brokenness, you've had a horrible day, and then you forget that your daughter is looking at her reflection in your mirror, meaning your face, to internalize a view of herself and go, what did I do to not deserve to be honored today, or to be worthy of kindness, or treated with respect? But when you come home and you're not a positive mirror, and the brokenness of your stuff that, as I said earlier, predates her birth, and those shards of glass cut her, then you're anything but a positive mirror. And I know we're all human. I'm not talking about we had a bad day. I'm talking about make amends, but this is more as a pattern. And so a way to counter, I say, Dad, go get a pack of sticky notes, go get a dry erase marker. Do it today. Write on the sticky notes, because then she can keep it longer. Because I've had dads say, oh my goodness, it's been 6 months and she still has my note on the mirror or the written word on the mirror. I didn't think she would care. And I even had one dad, I went to his house, Jim, and his 8th grade, 13-year-old daughter had moved the message from dad that, you know what it said? It said, love dad, that love you, dad. I mean, it wasn't even like a big message, just a quick to the point. She had taken it from the bathroom mirror and moved it to her bedroom wall so she could see it on the way out. And they'd had a lot of conflict. He was like,
Wow.
I would have thought that mattered. So see, it's putting it in writing, being a positive mirror. It's using all these skills together. But I'm saying, Dad, do this today.
This is the easiest tool in the toolbox to use, but this is so profound. And it is light up when you see her.
Well, it's funny. I didn't even think of this too. You were just talking about how earlier it's learn to read her eyes.
Yeah.
And this is saying she's reading your eyes.
Yes.
And, you know, Tyra Banks coined the word smize, right? That you smile with your eyes.
Oh.
That yes, you communicate a lot when you smile with your eyes. So my mentor, Jim Friesen, years ago, was part of a book called Living from the Heart Jesus Gave You, where he said in that book that we have what's called a joy exchange. And I have no idea how they in research have quantified this, but they say that there is a 6 cycle per second exchange between two people. It's interpersonal when there's joy.
Wow.
Which is, you're happy to see me. That's his definition of joy. So joy strength is something that we talk about in my field, is how do you build, see, back that concept earlier, building up joy strength. Dad, you actually are giving a lot of this joy strength to your daughter when you light up upon seeing her.
Wow.
When she comes in the room and you say, you sparkle. That's another way to say it, is you have a sparkle about you that when I see you, I don't stay glued to the TV. I don't stay buried on my computer reading my emails. I am not looking down. Dad, when you move your posture to lift up your head and let your eyes match your heart, because we're talking today about congruence, that the heart of the Father, God as a father, is coming through you as a dad. You're looking at her, your mouth lines up, your heart lines up, and lighting up when you see her, which even takes me back to Luke 15, verse 20, where in the middle of the prodigal son story, you hear in one verse, the dad stands there looking for his son who's been away. And it says, he sees him and he's filled with compassion. How can you be filled with compassion if your face isn't turned toward? Because you're going to reveal that with your eyes.
Tool 14 is convince her she is worthy. What was interesting to me here was the word convince.
Yeah.
So can you talk to us about that word? And I know that you put that there strategically.
Honestly, some of this is born out of my own story. Being the age I am in my 60s, I was raised in an era where women didn't have the same platform that they have today.
Correct.
And I have been, I've been a worship leader in big churches. I've shared platforms with men. I haven't always felt like I've had the same respect, let's use that word, or the same worth. We know that there's research that says women in the same professions are often paid less. And we can say all we want, oh, it's different now. And I'm not here to whine about it. I'm just saying my experience has been, sometimes in the culture, even Christian culture, I haven't felt that I have as much value, even though I've been a pastor's daughter, been to Bible college, I've been a youth leader and a worship leader and done service for the Lord out of the overflow of the heart that's been restored by the God I adore and live for. You have a culture, men, that your daughters, if they have not been sexually harassed or violated or assaulted, I'd probably be surprised, because it is so rampant anymore in subtle ways. Everything is sexual. So your daughters, even if it's not their story of violation, are in a sexual culture that you would think, oh, you're so desirable. No, at the end of the day, we're objectified. We're there for your pleasure, your gratification. You're undressing me with your eyes. And your daughters, I'm telling you, are screaming.
Yeah.
Tell me I have value and worth. So at the end of the day, Dad, when you lead with vulnerability and you listen and you give her your attention, you are convincing her, because it's not an easy sell when the majority of the world is not always giving her that message that she's valued and respected and honored and worthy of honor.
And so tool 15 is treat her like she's in the first class, not the coach or underneath the carriage and where the pets are. You know, treat her first class. So talk to us about this, treating your daughter like a princess.
Well, really, the word is royalty too. Treat her like she's royalty. She's a daughter of the king. And if I knew that Prince William, you know, and Princess Catherine were coming, oh my goodness, I would clean different. I would talk different. I would be more mindful of how I act, wouldn't I? If I was really around royalty. If King Jesus showed up today, I'm telling you, we cleaned some stuff up. We put on our best clothes. We would act different.
Yep.
And so I've had a lot of dads say, my daughter does not like Disney princesses. And I say, well, I know they've come a ways in trying to get more tough princesses that just aren't the damsel in distress. So this whole royalty might fit better than princess per se. But a lot of girls, even little girls, love the princess thing. Little girls, we do not have any problem wearing a Belle outfit to the store where we've become the character. But something gets lost along the way where it's no longer cool. I mean, why do we love a diamond ring when we get married? I mean, this to me is what a princess would wear, a queen would wear, right? And so whatever way, Dad, you need to frame this to fit your daughter, whether it's first class, whether it's princess, whether it's royalty, it ties back to being a practical way that you let your daughter know she's worthy. It might be at Christmas, like my dad's done with me for 20 years till I got married, 25, 30 years. I don't even know how many, where he takes me on perfume day and I get to pick any perfume I want in the perfume section at Nordstrom. And he sits there as long as it takes with all the perfume up my arms, because you got to know how it smells on you.
I know.
And one of the last one I chose, it was $185 for one bottle. And the first time when we found the scent, he bought me two. I almost couldn't do it because I'm an extravagant giver, but I have a really hard time receiving. But oh my gosh, this brings tears to my eyes. I put this perfume on before our interview today.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
I literally, I still have this from my dad. And I've thought of how many times he's gone, I'm so proud of you. And there's a lot my dad hasn't done right. But there's a lot he's done different than his alcoholic dad in Chicago that died of gangrene homeless. Like, he didn't have a template, but when he's taken me at Christmas and said, you buy anyone you want all year. Look, here I am 3 years, 4 years later, 5 years later, perfume lasts a long time. When I put that scent on, I can smell it right now, Jim. It says to me, my dad has treated me like royalty because he put his money where his mouth is, where his treasure is. I'm a treasure. Where's heart and treasure, money and treasure, heart and money? It all goes together biblically, right? But Dad, your daughter will internalize that strength and that value that you put on her. So there you go.
It's always a joy. And I will say this to you. I know that in your ministry career, you know, sometimes you feel like it's hard as a woman and less than, but man, I hope you don't feel that way here, because we just think the world of you and we love what you're doing for guys.
Thank you. Been a joy to be here.
God bless.